the day that he died, I was actually renovating one of his apartments that we had talked about. And the day before we went through, I kind of told him kinds of my ideas. And literally the day before, he went through like a checklist of things that he liked and didn't like of my ideas. And it was kind of his way of passing that on, that torch to me, that I'm like, okay, I can go now and rest in peace.
And how did you get the confidence to move forward from getting packaged out, losing your father? Those are big moments, right? And you got to build yourself back up. How did you manage to like brick by brick to like get that mojo going again? All right. Hello and welcome back to the DC Talks podcast. I'm your host, Agent 00.
Dude, why do you say that?
in the DC chambers, for episode 9, man. DC.
Oh, and I love you. Don't call yourself the Agent 00, man.
You gotta let me shine, bro. I know this is your show, but I gotta have some shine, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's our show. Let's get that straight. It's our show.
It's our show. But yo, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Yeah. Can't complain.
Yeah. How's your week been so far?
It's been all right. It's been a little, I don't know, the weather's been all over the place too. So it's one of those things. It's just like, I think everyone's getting sick and just run down. I'm like, I always get sick of I don't know when this is going to air, but right now we're in the middle of winter and I hate winter. I just can't wait to go on vacation.
Man, I feel you. I get sick in the summer. So as soon as the weather changes, I just immediately just start getting nosebleeds and everything like that. But winter, I'm a warrior. So I'm always healthy.
Yeah. I don't like the extreme heat or the extreme cold. So if it gets too hot, I'm inside. The extreme cold, I'm a baby. So yeah.
Exactly, man. But today we got an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about failure. And
how dare you?
We're so addicted to success, but we never look at the other side of actually what it takes to actually get there, right? A lot of people spend their years chasing success and they never attain it. So there's a lot of different ways we can look at failure. Like 1, you just kept trying and you gave up. Or 2, you're just not really cut out for that. Or 3, it's that just a lot of different factors were not in your favor that made you a failure. So we're going to explore the topic from effort to luck to limiting beliefs, and also getting into your side of things and like how you've handled failure before and how you've overcome those things.
Yeah, I also want to say something real quick. And we had a conversation about a month ago, maybe not even a month ago, with my cousins. And we're just talking how different our generation is when it comes towards failure.
Yeah.
So before we get into our parents, you would never, their generation, immigrants would never ever even think about failing at anything. They would do at every cost not to fail. Whereas our culture, we're trying to learn. You're supposed to learn from your failures. So I think the paradigm is a shift is trying to change that mentality. And I think failure is a great part of the learning process. And so depending on who you're talking to, you got to be careful what gets into your headspace and where they're coming from and experiences. Because I think that is a huge aspect of how you treat failure. For our parents' generation, I don't know about your parents, my parents' generation, absolutely no failure. There was it was worse than the F word. F word was the failure word.
Yeah. So is it because their generation is just we've got to make it because we have kids, we have a family. There's no way.
It even started before that, I think, because, with my dad, I was talking to my cousins too my grandfather died when he was, I think, 46 years old.
46,
massive heart attack.
That's super young.
Yeah. I left 4 boys at home with my nana, and it was, so failure wasn't even an option, really. They all had to go out. My dad dropped out of school. I think it was grade 9 it was. And that was they had to provide for the family. And they couldn't fail because then you wouldn't eat. Right. So they would never even think about the word failure.
And, it's very subjective when you look at failure. So let's go for your family's history. What's success to them in that time in their life that says, I am not a failure, I'm a success? What does success look like to them? I have
no idea. Because the reason why I say that, if you look at, I say my dad and his 2 younger brothers, it's they all achieved success, but it was never enough. So they I wonder if you even like would talk to them like, well, maybe my youngest uncle on that side, John, now he's retired, which is really weird for, you know, Chinelli to retire, to be honest, and not working. But I don't even know, like, consider yourself he's still working on things. Yes, there's still like, it's one of those things. It's, I don't really know in our family, what do you consider success? Like, you know, I had my MBA, you know, I went to school, I kind of played a little bit of pro hockey, but to me, that wasn't a success. You know, I didn't, you know, it just wasn't those things, right? Like it was a means to an end, really. So I think for us, there was not, I don't know, I don't really know what success would be in that kind of sense. Even for me, in real estate too, like I've had victories. Am I successful in my mind or what I've accomplished, what I wanted to do? No. So I don't know if I'm really a quote unquote, if in my own mind, if I'm successful yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we're talking about this whole culture about, it's a attain success at all costs type of culture, right?
Yeah.
Which is, if you look at your parents' generation and our generation, the mediums that are forcing us to believe like this. I mean, we got social media, we've got what we see on TV. We're seeing all these people achieve all these great things. And then there's also the peer side of things, right? So you have what you're supposed to be like at a certain age. And I think for someone like me, I had this idea like where I'm going to be a millionaire by 25, right? And when you really look at it, it's completely unrealistic of like thinking you could be a multi-millionaire. It's possible, but by seeing guys who are selling their companies in their mid-20s or like they're raising money, and then you're seeing some of your peers achieve success at a faster rate than what you're supposed to be at, it makes you feel like a failure.
What do you mean supposed to be at? That's the like, and I'm framing this in your mindset.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm actually pulling from what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
It's exactly the paradigm you're saying. It's like where I'm supposed to be. Who knows where you're supposed to be other than yourself, really? Like everybody's on their own personal journey. So, and now with social media, it's very different than our parents' generation again, because their whole thing, they would hustle in their own mind and they would achieve, feed their family, and no one knew how they were doing, really. It was just like, nobody knew the successes. Whereas now, you know, you talk about successes you're seeing online. How many of them are fake successes, right? And then you're measuring yourself up to a fake standard, which doesn't exist. So it makes you feel less of what you're doing inside. So that's what I'm saying. Like, where do you mean? Like, there should be no measuring stick with anybody else except with yourself.
Yeah.
And I find that hard even for my own self, right? Like I do that to myself too, right? Like I look at it like, and it's funny what you compare about. Like I have to pull myself back sometimes and say, well, where am I now? Whereas I was, 5-6 months ago.
It's more about like the stimulation that you're getting from what you're seeing with other people, like your peers, right? Someone who, and there's like two ways we can define success. There's like materialistic success. And then there is like success in terms of actually achieving, let's say if it's like a girl or a guy, they're seeing, oh yeah, my friend's in a relationship. They just got engaged. They already have a house. They have a dog. They have this ideal life that everybody aspires to. So if someone is not where they're supposed to be at in terms of having that kind of relationship, they feel like they're a failure. And then you're looking at someone who's like perhaps an entrepreneur. They're not really there yet because they're seeing, wow, like they're so young and they've achieved success. And like, what am I not doing right? You know what I mean? So, and you have these images which are just pumped out to you every single day that causes your self-esteem to go down. I mean, I can speak for myself. Like, I want success. I know I'm on my own journey, but as much as I try and ignore that, there's always that comparison side of things that you're always getting to feel like, man, like, am I not that good enough towards achieving? Like, what are they doing differently? Like, we have the same 24 hours. We have the same access to resources. We have the same amount of effort. What is it that I'm doing? And then you feel like a failure. You know what I mean?
The failures in your mind is not the failures that I talk about, you know, when we're in real life. It's trying things out and not failing, that stuff too. We have to get out of the mindset of thinking that what we're doing is wrong. Again, that's what I'm saying. If we look at online, like, oh my God, I'm not a movie star. I'm a failure. You know, I don't have, 4 kids.
Or six-pack abs.
Exactly. Like,
I'm not like Peng or anything like that.
You'll never enjoy it. I was thinking about this today. I was going to talk to you about it today. And I was thinking about it, and I was working out this morning, and I was like, obviously, like, you look at the guys on the fitness magazine stuff too, and it's like, well, I don't look like that. And it's like, but then we're going on vacation soon. And it's like, well, if I keep that mentality of which I'm failure because I don't have 6% body fat and abs and stuff too. And I'm always going to be self-conscious. And then I'm going to go on vacation and I'm not even going to enjoy the space that I'm in because I'm a failure because I am not at 0% body fat. You're
seeing all these guys that are looking so wedged and everything.
But then you go to vacation and there's like people that are like over 400 pounds and are just loving life. I'm like, that's a mentality we have to be. Accept who you are. Take that in and stop comparing ourselves to an unrealistic ideal of ourselves. Because when you measure yourself up to an unrealistic meter or yardstick, you will never feel happy and never feel successful. So when I talk about myself and not feeling I'm quote unquote successful, it's not because I haven't gained successes along the way. I just keep moving the yardstick in an attainable sense and like figure on that. And that's how I think it's like, that keeps me motivated and going, right? If I was always just looking at that part, I would never enjoy the whole process, right? If I'm always like, if I first started off in real estate and said, shit, I'm not selling, $5 million homes. I might as well fucking quit right now. Like, so, and that just makes zero sense, right? Because, well, if you're comparing yourself to your peers, like, well, he's selling $5 million homes. She's selling like $10 million homes. Why am I not selling? I should just quit. See how that doesn't make sense?
It doesn't make sense at all.
So you're not going to enjoy the process. Yeah. Right. Same thing when you go to, like I was saying, vacation. It's like, sure, I could be 20%, 50% body fat. Hey, let's go have a couple of beers, enjoy some family, enjoy some family time. Right. And I also, don't get me wrong, like I'm very self-conscious of a lot of things. And sometimes that creeps in too. And I almost have to play with myself too, like, and say like, dude, you're on vacation, relax. Or dude, you're like, sure. Like last year, you didn't get where you wanted to go. And it's like, say there's a certain number I didn't get to. I'm still very successful if you look at where I did the previous year, but in your mind, it changes, right? So, yeah.
And how do you manage those perspectives of like, hey, I didn't achieve this, but hey, you know what? I have this going for myself.
Well, I also know I set goals that were a little bit higher than maybe realistic, in this time.
So you do that intentionally, like I'm gonna put it all the way in the moon. If I don't hit it, at least I landed close to it.
Well, exactly, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those things. It's like if I'm only aiming for something small and I achieve it, it's like yay. Like I've tried to figure out, like you said, if you aim for the moon and you hit like you
kind of land on the stars somewhere there.
Yeah, like look how far you've come. Yeah, right. So once you get there, you sit back and you can celebrate it. Really, in reality, it's like, but also don't go in the mentality saying I'm never gonna hit the moon. I'm just kind of shooting for the moon. No. Exactly. Like you still got to strive to hit that moon. So if you fall, it's better to strive for something which is a little bit unattainable and then just fall short, as opposed to hitting something which is totally attainable and putting minimal effort and like really successes doesn't make sense.
100%. So on the way to success, there's also other factors which can play into it, right? So we have luck that comes into the perspective of actually achieving success or maybe becoming a failure. Yeah. You can have unlucky failures, like damn, like you just got unlucky and you failed, or you can just get lucky and you can actually land to where you want to be. Do you think luck plays a role in achieving success?
I think you make your own luck. A lot of it comes with what's between your ears. If you're always looking for perspective ways to help yourself and looking at your failures as a way to increase your success and saying, I was lucky that, look, I was happy. Sure, I'm not happy that this happened, but I was lucky that this didn't happen. And then using that as a luck. What I hate is, we've had family and friends and say like, look at my wife and I at some of our successes and say, oh, those two are just lucky for what they've done. I'm like, bullshit. Like we work our asses off. Like, it's, you don't see all this stuff too. So the luck we have, quote unquote luck we've had in business is from a lot of hard work, looking for opportunities, failures within those opportunities, and then pivoting from those failures. So the luck that we've had is man-made or, God-given or just the idea of looking at things at a different way. And not saying when your failures happen, saying, oh shit, I was out of luck today. No, it's like, this shitty thing happened to me. Okay, what can I learn? What is it that happened that this doesn't happen again? Yeah. Because if it continues, there's some days it's just you get bad luck or what, you stub your toe and then,
stuck in traffic, you miss a meeting.
Exactly. Sometimes at that point, there's no learning perspective. Sometimes shitty things happen. Let's be honest. Sometimes shitty things happen, but most of the shitty things that happen is because of things we're doing for business. There's a reason for that happening, and that's not luck. That's because of something you did wrong, and it plays into it. If you're relying solely on luck for your success, good luck. Good luck. Yeah.
And have there been moments where you feel like, damn, I got lucky on that made me achieve that?
No.
You've never felt like you've had like a lucky break?
No, because it's funny because I think maybe when we were younger, when I was playing hockey, you had to be in the right place, the right time, and the right circumstances in order to make it to like a team or get it to the NHL or something else in those kind of situations. But, sometimes like your hard work would also like making sure you're on and making sure you're prepared and all that, and making sure that what you are doing on a day-to-day basis opens you up to other opportunities. So what you might perceive as luck, a lot of it is a lot of preparation in the back end would prepare you for that. Now I would say the only thing I would say would be lucky is when, like going to like a stag and doe or stags and, put your name in a hat and winning a TV, which has happened before. Okay. That's lucky.
That's lucky. Yes.
Maybe the reason why I didn't make it to the NHL wasn't because of a lack of luck, and I'm learning a lot of things about myself now and talking with other former hockey players that I played with and stuff. We realized, that there was a certain thing that you might have been lacking, which we didn't realize at the time. We were pushing through, but the guys that made it, they had this something special.
They're the X factor.
That X factor, right? Now, is that luck? Maybe genetically or whatever it was, or maybe circumstance or something put them in that. Fine, consider that luck. No, it's because of your upbringing and situations that made them that person and put them in that situation. And I don't know. I've never prescribed to the word luck, maybe people on the podcast may not appreciate that, but I think a lot of times we make our own luck, and it's what other people perceive successes as being lucky.
Yeah. There's certain, we're talking about sports, there's certain guys you see like in hockey, basketball. I mean, for example, in hoops, right? Someone walks in the gym, you just look at them, they just do one move and you can say like, that guy has it. Yeah. And you don't know what that it is, but you can just like, that guy's a player. That guy has that thing that's going to take them to the next thing. Just one little thing that they do that just shows you who they are, like their effort.
But Owen, let me ask you this. So you've had like hockey.
Yeah.
Or basketball, whatever. How many people you had that had all the talent in the world that went absolutely nowhere? But the guys that had maybe less talent but worked their asses off, continue at the gym, were always in the court or on the ice, putting those extra efforts in. And then you have other guys which have the it factor, like I'll give McDavid or Jaromir Jagr or even, Wayne Gretzky. Those guys were always trained. Kawhi Leonard, we talk about that too. Like that lucky shot he had wasn't lucky at all. If you know the guy, how much he's been working and practicing and stuff too. You watch Steph Curry like making those shots, those 3 shots. Oh, that guy's lucky. He knows in the right spot. That guy has been practicing since he was like, his dad was a Raptor when he was hitting 3 shots here, so how is that luck? If, that's my point. It's all about preparation. So there are guys that I've played with and made in the NHL that they had something, but they also worked their freaking tail off. Like their asses were like it was unreal. So, but then there was other guys that had all the talent in the world and they did fuck all and never went anywhere. And they're like, after juniors are like, screw this. I'm like, yeah, you could have been that guy. You could have been that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually leads to my next point. There was like a book I was reading during the pandemic. It's called Chance, Chase, and Creativity. The Lucky Art of Novelty by James Austin, right? So essentially, he speaks about in which persistence, chance, and creativity interact in biomedical research. So he was showcasing how unpredictable events shape the outcome of his research. And he came down to 4 types of luck, right? So there's dumb luck. So this is where we're talking about the stag and doe, right? The kind of control you have no control over. So it's kind of like finding $100 on the ground. There's active luck, which is the more you do, the more possible moments of breakthrough you generate. So it's still chaotic, but at least you have a chance of getting something. So you're doing a lot of reps. One day the coach comes in, you say, get on there, show us what you can do. The puck lands on the right spot. You had an amazing slap shot and you've practiced that slap shot 100 times and it just happened to get through the net in a way that's just like, damn, that was elite, and gets you to the next spot, right? So it's like a lot of different chances you've been given, but the moment you have to execute on it, in that lucky moment, like you actually succeed in it. Then there's planned luck, right? So you spot lucky breakthroughs and you can direct your own efforts towards manufacturing them, right? So this is like through practice, and you're like, okay, I kind of see the patterns here. I kind of see what's going on. I can see if I do this, it's going to lead me to do this, 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 and that, right? So you're planning your luck just based on the patterns that you're observing. Then lastly, we have unique luck, right? So this is the special kind of luck. It's like from building a skill or set of practices which lead you to certain moments which give you that lucky bounce. We're talking about Kawhi.
Yeah.
Man's been practicing ball for 28 years of his life. That one moment,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 boom, you're
Yeah.
going to the conference finals. Like insane, right? So when we talk about luck, there's so many ways you can like look at it, because I think as a culture, we look at luck just, oh wow, like you got picked out of like a random group of people and you went and achieved success just because you got picked by that one moment. But no, there's many different things you did before you actually got selected for that moment.
Yeah. So out of all those lucks, I'd say the only one that really you have no control over would be the first one, right? Dumb luck.
Dumb luck, yeah.
And how often do you have people that make it so far, made an impression on anybody in your life that came about it through dumb luck? Nobody.
Rare.
Fucking nobody. Nobody comes around this world and just like becomes a millionaire based on dumb luck. You know, those other lucks you come to, it's like, well, no, if you scale back the onion, and we're talking before, that luck was manufactured through a lot of hard work and preparation and doing the right things and learning and just figuring things out. Or what was the other thing I was saying too? Is like, if you ever want to find a way to do something the most efficient, get the laziest person you know to figure out how to do it. But it was
like Bill Gates said that.
Yeah, and it's true. But it's like, so that's the only time it's not hard work. They're working hard how to be lazy. So it's funny. So even like it all depends on your framework of your mind, and I think I think a lot of times we just got to get out of our heads. We got to get this word luck the way that we know it as, the way that, because every time people are talking about luck in our culture, it has a lot to do with, they all think it's dumb luck, and it's not dumb luck. I know. And I think it's a very, very minute portion of the luck we get is dumb luck. And that's, again, that happens maybe once a year. You might get like,
it's like you go to Value Village, you buy a jacket, you find $100 bill or $200 bill. That's lucky.
That's lucky.
You're lucky, yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know, and other times you're doing something and then you got a hole in your jacket and you lose the $100. That's unlucky.
That's unlucky too.
That's unlucky too, right?
Yeah.
But I hate when people like are looking at their lives and they're basing all of their lives and where they are within their stature of this life based on luck, and they're saying, "Well, I wasn't lucky with this," because. You know, I can talk about family members that were born with defects, and and some of them have embraced it and become the best person based on that. Like, and I've seen some of these motivational speakers. Guys have like, one guy had like no arms, no legs, and he's just like
positive.
I think I can swim and stuff too. Like, he's got no arms and legs. He does all the stuff. And to look at your own life, and as opposed to other people will look at him like they would just be defeated. Like, I've had some bad luck in my life, I'm done, and just be negative, and then bring everybody else around them down. So that's the problem with looking at life through luck.
Yeah,
you know, it's you're taking away all of the onus what you're capable of in doing on that. Looking at like trying things new, failing at something new, and learning from that experience and making yourself better, as opposed to failing and saying, well, just some shitty luck. I'm just doing it again and again and again.
Yeah. Which leads me to the next thing, right? It's limiting beliefs, right? So on the journey towards achieving whatever it is, the belief factor has to actually be in play. You got to believe that you can do it. How much do you think limiting beliefs stop people from actually attaining the things that they want?
Happens all the time. I see that. I'm trying to teach my children not to have limiting beliefs. You know, I think most of our culture, right? They don't believe in themselves. So I think that's why I think a lot of people are unhappy. A lot of people are stuck in jobs, in which I was one of those people as well. Like, you're stuck in a job because you're limited. Like, well, I can't leave now because I have this. Like, I didn't become a realtor, even though I wanted to. I thought about it before because of my limiting beliefs. So I'm like, well, I have to take care of my family. I need the benefits. There's all these limiting beliefs of like, well, maybe you're not going to be good at this, or maybe like it was all of those things or just negative kept me in the place where I was. And I was a treasury analyst, like, was I loving? Like, I didn't even talk to my boss and stuff too. It was like, I was okay. I did the job. Was I great at it? Absolutely not.
So you're just kind of like a middle of the pack type of treasury analyst.
Yeah. And it's like, you're doing that and you're like, cause you're hoping not to fail. And you're like, and you still get let go when they realize it's like, I get somebody better to do what you're doing. Great. And it's like, so you fail at something because you're limiting beliefs without trying to do what you're supposed to do or want to do. It limits you into being your full person, your full potential.
Yeah. There's also like limiting beliefs that come from not even yourself, but it can even come from culture. Even I think we don't look at this, but family plays a huge part in limiting beliefs.
Yeah. I have, it's funny. My family was a bunch of entrepreneurs. So when I had my first job, I remember like I was working and my dad's like, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, I sent you to school to get an MBA, not to be an employee, to like,
to run
build
shit.
Run shit. Exactly. To do that, to be somebody, not to work for somebody else. I'm like, well, that's what our school system, our school system is set up to make employees and work up the ladder. And it's like, but it's funny. You talk with other people where their parents are like, I've had a couple of friends of ours that their parents are teachers and their whole things were like, become a teacher, get a good pension and ride it out until you retire and not to just just get into that job, work up the ladder and stay within the ladder, get your benefits and retire. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, but I've had friends who wanted to start their own business and their family shunned them because they're like, why are you leaving this good, stable job? If you continue to do this, you'll work up your ladder. And my buddy's like, work up the ladder? How about I leave this and I create my own ladder and I can, the sky's the limit. That's how our family was brought up. It's, at least my dad would talk to, he goes, never wanted me to work for somebody else, wanted me to be my own person, be my own entrepreneur. And by me doing this, I'm not just benefiting my family. Like, we have staff, we have other people. I'm helping people.
You're helping the community.
About, even like, there's even helping like hiring people, like family between my assistants, helping other younger realtors, family. Like, so I have one of Natalie's friends does all of our events. So I'm putting money in her pocket. She does all of my closing gifts. I have other friends that do like party things. Like, so I'm not just helping myself by doing this, it opens me up to help.
Creating different lanes, like even like us being here, like, if you didn't take that risk and be like, this wouldn't even be existing. You'd be back at being a treasury analyst. And I'm curious to know, beliefs take a while. They're shaped early and you are seeing entrepreneurship success for years, like well into a teenager to university, but still you didn't have the belief that you can go out and do it. I kind of find that a little bit conflicting, like where your environment is based on this, but yet you're looking the other way. Talk more about that. Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know. Like it was, even though we grew up this way, it was, I'm the third of three boys, and as the baby of the family, I don't know, you were just kind of not treated differently. And my middle brother would disagree with that, but I just had a different mentality. And I guess it took a little while for me to mature into who I was. And I think the biggest, unfortunate, one of the thing that forced me into really taking the bull by the horns were two events in my life. One was getting let go, like packaged out. And the second, which was not that much after, was the death of my father. And there was a lot of build up in between when I got my first rental property and he was helping me and all that stuff too. But my full potential wasn't there. But I think the first event by me getting let go was like, okay, this is the turning point.
And getting let go, for the people who don't know, who are tuning in for the first time, where did you get let go from?
So I was a treasury analyst at Toronto Hydro.
Yeah.
So I was at that point, that was in 2014. I got packaged out. I was there for 10 years at Toronto Hydro. And
was it a layoff or?
So what happened with us was like, there was a couple of rounds of layoffs that happened and my VP got let go. And within the last couple of years, I went through like 7 bosses in a year. And then the last boss we had, basically, from him starting out our whole treasury board where we were at, like every single one of the positions except for their back analyst was swapped within 2 years, all traded out. So as a new regime came in, right? And to be honest with you, it was like, you kind of saw it. I kind of see things coming in. The new boss, the last boss I had, wanted to do things his own way. Again, you're a little bitter at the beginning, but now I really am thankful for what he did for me, because he kind of forced my hand a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And, you know, my belief system now, looking back to where we were, and it happened the right time it was supposed to happen for me. Because if I was still a treasury analyst when my dad passed away, I probably would have had to quit anyway, because there's nothing I could have done to help. There's so much work on the back end for my mother and those kinds, and just helping the family figuring that too. I was very, very fortunate when I was let go, and the way things circumstances, you know, God's got our path for all of us, you know, and I know I say that a lot. I know whether people believe in God or not, for me, there's been so many things up, and so many things have lined up for me not to say thank you for him. This is one of those situations. It just there's so many other things behind the story we can tell you about, but those are the two. I was like, this couldn't have happened a better time the way that it happened. So I was packaged out. It gave me time to think about what to do, kind of worked things. I was able to work stuff while my dad was alive. We didn't know he was going to pass away. He went for a walk and never came back home. But we were able to talk, and we're organizing. When I was telling him going for my real estate license, we had talked about how I was going to change things for the family and look at our portfolio and helping those things work. And the day that he died, I was actually renovating one of his apartments that we had talked about. And the day before we went through, I kind of told him kinds of my ideas. And literally the day before, he went through like a checklist of things that he liked and didn't like of my ideas. And it was kind of his way of passing that on, that torch to me, that I'm like, okay, I can go now and rest in peace. And
how did you get the confidence to move forward from getting packaged out, losing your father? Those are big moments, right? And you got to build yourself back up. How did you manage to like brick by brick to like get that mojo going again?
There was a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying, a lot of talking with my wife. But it was funny though, you say that, Owen. It was when I got packaged out, like, you guys don't realize how, when you're working for somebody else, how limited like your abilities could be, I guess, in the way you think is molded. So the first couple of weeks, I was actually excited. Like, my brain wouldn't stop working. It was like on overdrive, because now I didn't know what I was going to do. So
did you feel like relief?
Oh yeah.
It's relief. Eh?
Yeah. And I know this sounds bad, but it's like not bad, but it felt like you're in a battered wife syndrome kind of situation where you don't realize how bad it is until you're out of the situation. And again, I'm not saying anything I'm just saying in corporations in general. And I'm not saying there's, just for my perspective, right? Things I wanted to do, I couldn't do. And who I wasn't, it wasn't shining through to my abilities. You know what I mean? So when I had that lifted off and I had packaged out, I had a good package that I could just focus on me and figure out not to worry about the financial aspect of it. And again, there's a lot of prayer, a lot of fighting with the wife, trying to figure stuff out. And, you know, also with the kids and stuff, trying to figure out between that. Like, my wife came home one day and I was on the office. I was on the computer all day trying to researching stuff. She's like, "You can't do this." Yeah. I said, "What?" She's like, "You wake up and you're on go all day, and like at night, and you're still thinking and writing down." She goes, "You have to you have to
compartmentalize."
Yes, because otherwise you'll burn out. And I just had to figure out the one spark, and things just kind of worked out the way they worked out.
You know, this brings up, I wanted to share this quote with you, but since we're talking about this topic, Theodore Roosevelt, he had one of his most famous speeches, "The Man in the Arena." Have you heard of that quote? Have you read that quote or listened to that speech?
No.
So it talks about like how individually we don't know what someone is going through when they're pursuing a worthy cause, whatever that is, right? Their ideal or what means success to them. So he came up with this speech. It's called "The Man in the Arena." So he says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man stumbles or whether the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does not actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. You know what I mean? So
That's
people
awesome.
people like are looking on the outside. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know the man in the arena. Like, they're sitting in the bleachers watching, but they don't know the
And they're also hoping you fail.
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't want you to win.
No.
So that speech is timeless. For as long as existence is existence, this speech, I mean, that's why even LeBron, he writes the man in the arena in every of his sneakers, just like, cause he gets a lot of critiques, but they don't know, like, to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I rip on LeBron too. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, but, the man's great. You know, he is, but it was funny. It was saying that I know we have to wrap up soon, but, we have a Peloton group, and we're talking with Nurse a few weeks back and stuff too. We're saying, but there's that Royal LePage signature. We have a Peloton group, and one of our, we there was a ride the other day, and one of the persons that just said on there, she's like, she goes, yeah, you know, she goes, you know, you guys kicked my ass, but you know, I was last, and I just said, listen, it doesn't matter where you finished. You know, you showed up.
You pulled up.
You showed. There's 100 people on the chat. 5 people showed up. You showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit what the other 95 people said? Like,
Yeah.
you're the one that showed up. You put in there. I don't care if you finished last. You finished.
Mm-hmm.
You showed up. You put your effort in. That says a lot about you and your character.
Yeah. And my coach in high school used to say, oh, and the number one rule of success is showing up, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You have to show up each and every single day to get what you want. It's just showing up, like waking up and actually being present. And that's how you get it done. But yo, DC, this has been an amazing chat. You know, talk about failure, limiting beliefs, and luck. Audience, let us know what you think. Make sure you leave a review, rate, subscribe, DM us, DM Chinelli.
Yeah. Well, even that, like, I always get emails too. Like, so if you're on my Instagram, you're on my Facebook, or like message me. Facebook's, I don't know, their messaging sucks. I'm sorry, but like, I like Instagram. If you DM my answer, like, you can always email me too at dchinelli@royallepage.ca. I like to hear back feedback if you want topics for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Listen, we respond to our audience for a reason.
Exactly.
That we're here because of you guys. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Amazing. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. This is the DC Talks podcast. I'm your co-host, Agent Double O, back at it again with DC, and we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Peace.
everyone. Ciao.